Good morning to you, our audience. Ted and Ed TV channel welcome each of you to our weekly Saturday broadcast where we give insightful views on economic, political, world, and environmental issues concerning how money connects those matters. Our hosts, Mr. Ted Harvey Sr. and Mr. Edward Bishop III, are now taking each of you into our world of money and its value, along with the evils that come from the greed of hoarding financial power. He that controls the gold controls the important decisions in this world.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Ted and Ed TV show and the Money Connection. And we have a very special guest, and her name is Jasmine. How are you doing, Ed, this morning?
I am doing great, Ted, and I'm looking forward to this beautiful interview with Jasmine Thurmond, a college student there, and we've invited her on to get some of her views and what she feels about what's going on out there.
And how are you, Jasmine, this morning?
I'm very well. I'm excited about this interview and to share my opinion.
Well,
which I have a lot of.
we won't call it an interview. We just call it a little conversation.
We call it an interview.
But the thing is that I just want to tell you a little bit about Jasmine. She's a very inspiring vocalist. Currently, she's going to the university in Chicago, Columbia, and she's majoring in vocal performance, and which is a good thing. And she's planning on getting her Bachelor of Arts degree in that, and she aspired to actually be famous, be well known, and that's a good thing, you know. So I mean, and you can be that because you have a great vocal and you have a great vocal voice, and so therefore, you know, you can touch and reach the world. That's a sort of a ministry within itself, because I can't tell you how many times I've cried and listening to music. You know, it touches your heart.
Oh yeah.
So it's great.
Thank you.
Well, let's go on to some questions or conversation. You know, you're a young person, and you know that's something that touches Ed and I's heart. You know, because we're very interested in learning and getting information of how the younger generation is thinking these days. And I just want to touch off on the first question. Why are you going to school? Why are you going to a higher knowledge? You know, I mean, there's people, you know, that come right out of high school or while they're in high school and they go ahead on and do their thing. Why are you going to college?
I think I'm going to college because I think it's important. I was always taught that higher education, especially even for Black people, wasn't something that was always attainable. So I feel like if you have the opportunity and you really have something that you want to do, like I really want to have a arts education, that's exactly why I went. My parents always pushed me to strive and, you know, go hard. I feel like when I compare the people in my family who have had higher education and who did not, the people who have had higher education have more money. They're more successful. They can go on more vacation. You know, they can do what they want to do. They have more freedom in that sense. They're not tied down to a job they don't like.
Right.
Some of them,
job to job.
yeah,
sure.
yeah. But sometimes people go out and get a higher education and they don't even like the job that they have. And so it really just depends on the person. But for me, I'm going to do what I want to do. So that's why I'm going to college.
Oh, super. I mean, because when I think about college, you know, I think about learning a skill. Like, you know, I studied accounting, and you know, that skill I used for 5 years until I got bored and my eyes went bad on me, because when you're working with numbers, you know,
Yeah.
you know, all day, you know, it just sort of kind of gets to you. However, you know, there's so many things that's out there that people can actually, you know, make money in without a college degree. I mean, big money, you know, top dollar. However, to me, education was about learning that pressure, getting that paperwork out, that paper that term paper that you're supposed to do, reading those books, learning about philosophy, seeing how you get along with all of your classmates and that type of thing. I played a little sports in college, and you have to learn how to get along with your teammates and that type of thing. And if the professor didn't like you, you gotta sort of kind of find a way to get that professor to like you, to sort of get a better grade.
Yeah, that's rough.
So the bottom line is that I think they say that college is not for everyone. That might be true, but I think the experience is just phenomenal. I mean, you just can't beat it, because the pressure, that you have to get that workout, the pressure is just unbelievable.
It is.
Yeah.
I
I believe that experience and stuff, Ted, just like you and I had when we went off to school, and you spoke about your teammates and how that camaraderie had came together. Well, it gives you an experience and stuff as far as how as seeing guys and stuff from all over the country. I had when I was in school and stuff, we had I met guys from different parts of the country, different money stuff and everything. A lot of them had more money than what I did. So, but they gave me an idea of what was going on in other parts of the country. I had a gentleman and stuff there who went to school with me. He was from East Orange, New Jersey. And I have never heard of East Orange, New Jersey. And it was very inspiring to hear him talk about his city and what was going on there. And I had a chance to go there, and it was just great. But being in college and stuff allows you to have those kind of experiences where you can see what other people around the country and stuff are doing. And then you have camaraderie and stuff with them, where after you finish school and everything, at least you have a networking thing going on where these people out there are there. They know you, they've been to school with you, so you have an opportunity to access them for different things. They might have something going on that you don't have and stuff in your area, so you can reach out to them and get some positive things and stuff from it. So.
Well, Jasmine, let me ask you this question, and we don't want to dominate the conversation here because what has been your experience as far as your college, your days in college up to now?
So I think there was a point where you get out to college, you leave your parents' house, you're excited, you have these classes, and you have like this new social life, and you realize you don't really know anything. Like you thought you did before you left your parents' house, but you're 18 years old and you think you know everything, and you don't. You really don't. Life hits you.
You are a wise child.
Oh, yeah, you don't. Like, I wish somebody would have told me that I didn't know stuff. Like,
they did, Jasmine. You just wasn't listening.
No, I was, Granddad. I was listening. I was listening, but there really comes a point where you have to start adulting. That's what we call it nowadays. Like the act of being an adult. Start adulting. Okay. And so I had to learn how to stick to my schedule and balance my social life. When I went to Columbia, I started a band like the second day. So not only was I in music school singing, I was gigging around Chicago singing. And on top of that, I had schoolwork to do. So here I am trying to get a music education, both socially and educationally. And that wasn't easy for me, per se. I think I was in keyboard 1. I cried every week. Like, I always laugh with my friends. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so hard. But it made me a better person. And now I'm at a community college, actually. Like freshman year was Columbia, and I'm at a community college getting prerequisites out the way so I can transfer to UIC. But I've learned that it's okay not to know everything. It's just you have to have the resources to pull on people or to pull on classmates and pull on professors and pull on parents and pull on grandparents and, have somebody to talk to. I feel like I learned a lot more about life while I was in college than I did educationally in a lot of senses, because I feel like when I step away, I don't necessarily remember my everyday curriculum that I was learning, but I do remember all the experiences that I had while I was learning at Columbia. And that's what I really take away from my college experience so far.
Great, that's great, and the fact that, well, I don't know about you, but when I was 18, I thought I knew everything. I thought I knew everything. I thought I knew everything. That was just me.
That's funny.
Yeah, and the thing is that you're always learning.
Always.
And nowadays you have to verify so many things. Right now, we got this what we call, and I'm sure you heard the term fake news.
Yeah.
There was just a sort of it's a new news trend that's coming out now that's trying to correct this type of thing. Like we have so many people right now that are out there that is putting so much news on, and about the social media, I'm sure you do, all of those different things that's going on, and people are putting news out there that is flat out false, and there are people that's putting news out there have truth. So now how do, you're a young person, how do you decipher getting that type of information and then knowing that, trying to figure out, what's true, what's false?
I feel like Google is very helpful. No, I'm joking, but seriously, I feel like, but no. So I have an aunt, and she's like very educated. She's one of those like people where she always goes and verifies through like certain channels. I can't really explain how she verifies what is or what is not fake news. I wonder what that is.
No, that's a phone here that I was using here.
Oh, okay.
I had a call coming in from Ghana, and
oh wow,
and the gentleman, he just called me back, and I was waiting on him to call me earlier, but he just called me back. So don't worry about it. I'll call him.
Oh, so with the fake news thing, I feel like sometimes you really don't know. And that is a bit scary sometimes. I think sometimes you just use your better judgment. I don't go to Huffington Post and expect them to tell me real news. So it's like even certain channels, even sometimes CNN, like sometimes they give fake news. I know Fox News is another place where they kind of give fake news. So it's like you just have to know, who to get your news from, per se. I think that's important. But you just have to try your best and use better judgment. I mean, all the stuff that they talk about with Donald Trump, and Donald Trump was like, fake news. Everything is fake news. Like, no, Donald, some stuff is real news. You just don't want us to believe it.
Yeah. Like the saying is, you can, you might have your opinion, but, you can't deny the facts. And the thing is that when someone says things to me, if you have the numbers correct, and then even the numbers, the data, the research can be off slightly, or, it can be exaggerated. You have to really dig, to get those things, because you don't know who's telling you the truth and who's trying to mislead you. And we're in a world now, and we've been in a world for since this country has been established, really. But but the bottom line is that it has really has gotten sophisticated, where you think you're getting correct news and you think you're getting all of that. And some of these people, they try to retract. For quite a few years, I worked for a major newspaper in Los Angeles, and they used to retract so many times. And the retraction was, it was down at the bottom in a little box, saying that this blah, blah, blah was wrong, what they said. So people are not perfect. You got to look at it, because, one of my jobs, I used to recruit journalists, and these journalists are human too. They make mistakes. Somebody gives them the wrong information, and they even verify it, and try to verify it with 2 or 3 sources. So I think that's important. That's one of the things that I think that young people is going to have a real problem because it's so easy. Propaganda is so easy to put out there, and just like you said, you don't trust. See, that right there is a bad situation right there. When people don't trust CNN, you don't trust ABC, you don't trust
Fox
NBC, you
News.
don't trust
Come
Fox
on,
News,
Fox News.
you don't trust Huffington Post, you don't trust.
Mm-mm.
So the point is that where do we get our information? Because information right now, that is one of the key things that's going now. That's valuable, and communications with information. So
Wow.
one of the questions, that the things that's been going on lately is a lot of people has been in talking about the environment. And you have, you're going to be living in this environment. We went through all of that stuff, back in the 60s and the 70s, where, air pollution was really horrible. Cars with emissions was high as can be. And water was a problem. And now water is even coming back as being a problem because of the bad pipes and all of that. So how do you decipher all of that, and what's your experience as far as the environment that because that is a big problem right now?
I think a lot of people are arguing, especially in my generation. There are people who are so like veganism and not eating animals and
Yes,
don't drink out of plastic water. I mean, I'm drinking out of a
yes,
plastic water bottle right now. And how dare you wear clothes from this area?
yes.
There's like radical people who are like,
Excessive.
we're gonna die tomorrow. Like the world
Yes.
is about to explode. And
Hmm.
it's like, you have to think of this as a gradual thing. This happened gradually, and it
Yes.
can't change overnight because it didn't happen overnight. And I don't think that I necessarily stress myself out about global warming. I feel like people don't even believe it exists. Let's talk about that. First of all,
Mm.
that's ridiculous. I remember I was watching a video on Facebook, and I know quoting Facebook is such a bad idea, but it was a video on Facebook. It was hypothetical, so I'm talking about a hypothetical situation. They said when ice cubes melt in water, just plain water, the water level does not rise. But if there's salt in the water level will rise. And they were saying that all the ice in the Arctic is melting. It's starting to melt. And
Hmm.
so if all of it melted, we'd all be underwater. There'd
Ooh.
be so much carbon dioxide in the air we wouldn't be able to breathe.
Oh.
So we could die from that. So I understand why people's are exasperating the issue, but I don't think yelling at people or trying to scare people into it is going to work. People like facts. People like things being straightforward. We need to start doing it at home in our community. Stop talking on such a global platform and start at home. Like if you're so concerned, start it in your suburb or in your city, and then it can grow from there and go from
In your
there.
neighborhood, huh?
Yeah, start in your neighborhood. And it's like, if you don't want me drinking out of a plastic water bottle, give me a very viable option. Like, I don't care if you tell me to go get a glass bottle from the dollar store. I'll do that. But stop using plastic and then not giving me a solution.
Right.
This
Absolutely.
is what I'm used to. I grew up with this. This is what I understand.
Hmm.
And I'm not saying that we make the choice to be ignorant, but there's also like, what am I going to eat out of? I have plastic bowls,
Hmm.
you had a ceramic bowls, glass bowls. And so I feel like it's a process. And if you want to be passionate about it and you really want to help the environment, you should start with yourself instead of yelling at everybody else about it.
That's
Oh
true.
boy, that's a. I never thought about that, Jasmine. I really didn't. I missed that. But also about the global environment and stuff out there. What do you feel about the global economy?
Hmm. Well, how do I feel about the global economy? I feel like, everything is made in China, number one. I feel like that's a first. Like we don't even make things in America anymore. Like there's labor in other countries and then it comes back and then they end up selling and there's still labor in other countries because it's cheaper there. Um, And I feel like in order for you to have a big business or a successful business, even though it sounds bad, the big and successful businesses pull on other countries and their resources, which has been happening since the beginning of time. I feel like there's so many things imported and exported from Africa just for us to use every day. And so I feel like we have to call on other places in the world nowadays instead of just at home for things like that, per se. So I think the global economy is something that's very feasible, but if you don't have the education, you may not understand it. And I feel like that's what's hard, even speaking like from a minority standpoint. Like we could talk about the global economy, but I don't even feel educated enough on the global economy or how to use it per se to even have a feasible or active opinion on it.
Okay.
Well, when it comes to the global economy, in my mind, and this goes way back. I mean, trade and that kind of thing. But I just tell you from my experience, I can remember when I was coming up as a young adult, a lot of things at that time was made in China. I'm sorry, Japan, and they used to make such horrible toys and products. It may last for 2 or 3 days and it's broken and you can't return it back or whatever. And things got better. They started making better products and what have you. And they was trying to get into the capitalist system, making products, because that's how you make money. If you don't have a product or you don't have a service, you don't make money. So Japan was trying to become, a viable country, which they're doing very well right now because they have, they don't have any resources. They had to bring in everything because they have very little land. But what has happened to China through the years, the last 30 years or so, or maybe even closer to 25, what has happened, they have American international companies have bought into China, and they have invested billions and billions of dollars into China. And they have thousands and thousands of corporations over in China. And those people are basically using that cheap labor, because I'm sure you're familiar with the labor in China, and then they have over 1.23 billion people over there, and they have an 800,000 workforce. So if they're making $1, $2, $3, $5 a day, they're happy because they can get their bowl of rice and and pay for their little apartment or whatever. So that's the situation. The reason why United States inflation is so low is because of cheap labor, and we buy those products, and because they're cheap. And even though you say they're made from China, but actually, yeah, they're made in China, but a lot of products are made all over the country, and they put them together in China, and it's from really it's hidden in those countries. Our countries, a lot of our businesses are really involved in those companies that's bringing these products over here. So it's a big, complicated thing. That's the reason why, we just had 45 talking about the trade and that kind of crap. Still, yeah, 45.
45. Don't even say his name.
That's President Trump.
Yeah,
my goodness.
Yeah, he talking about trade, and he's talking about the tariff and all that. And to a certain degree, yeah, there's some unfair things that's happening, in tariffs and all that. However, there's been a trade deficit in this country because, we are mostly importers, not exporters. So, because like you just said, we hardly make anything, and that's not our fault. It's just that they have, unfortunately, I have to agree with this. They have a lot of regulations, where you can build factories, where you can have any kind of zoning or whatever, and then you got to have this, you got to have that, and that's true, and that should be the fact, because you can destroy a neighborhood if you got the wrong company, in that neighborhood or that community, especially if you're using chemicals and you're using all kinds of products that can damage people. So that's a big thing, as far as when it comes to the global economy. And
it's a multi-headed beast and stuff.
it's
That
something.
you have to really be on top of what's going on out there, and I guess that's a big thing and stuff with us because we've been involved in it for so long since we were teenagers and stuff in college and everything. So I can understand, Jasmine, why you are kind of a little bit overwhelmed and stuff about this global thing that's going on because it is. I do believe that as time goes by and you get older and stuff, you're going to become more involved in global environment and what's going on out there and how you're going to be able to make money in that environment. Because really, actually, as you're saying, we don't do a lot of things here in this country. So how are we going to make money? How are you going to make money? How am I going to continue to make money? And how are your parents going to make money?
Well, Jasmine is going to be a superstar, because she has an instrument called her voice.
Absolutely. And Jasmine and I talked about that earlier about how you have all of these media folks and stuff here that most of their money and stuff now does not come from the United States. It comes from them going outside this country, for them going to Europe, for them going to Canada and stuff and performing their arts and stuff there. And that's how they've been able to become big stars and stuff out there. You look at that comedian and stuff out there. What's his name? The little short guy. He took off. Yeah, Kevin Hart. He was making money here in the United States, but he took off on a tour into all of these major countries and stuff and major continents and stuff out there to really start making money. And once he started doing that, he became a mega star, and he made money that way. He was in Japan, and I'm pretty sure that a lot of people in Japan can't speak English and stuff, but being a comedian there, he drew what, 200,000 or 300,000 people and stuff that'll follow him. So
wow,
yeah,
that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
world domination.
And that's something that when you got a skill and talent like you have, vocals and people start to listen to you and start to love you and love to hear your voice and your music, it just can go anywhere. I mean, right now we are in a global, never before. I used to get upset when I was a teenager. We couldn't even play the people over in Michigan, in games and stuff like that. Now they playing all over the world, these high school ball players. Mm-hmm. So now, the same thing when it comes to your vocals. When you've created a song or something, you can put that on YouTube, you can put it on Facebook, and and people like it, and they're gonna start following you to hear your music.
Yeah, like you can reach the world through a camera, through a microphone.
Right. That's right.
So much opportunity at our fingertips, but it's sometimes bittersweet because we have to deal with so much more than I feel like you guys have to deal with because we can reach the world.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. And and people now, with the social media, they can do all their little critiques and negative critiques and this and that kind of crap, and PR, is public relations, is very important to be out there at the right time. Timing is the thing, and then also the right song, and all of those things are involved. The right look, all of that stuff, and
the right clothes.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing, though. I've always loved God very much, and I've been in ministry since I was really tiny, like 8 years old. I mean, I was 8 ministering to adults. Like, the Lord loves you. Like, I was in school. Like, the Lord loves you. I was that kid. And so I feel like my voice and my talent or my gifts will be used for the kingdom of God and in the ministry. So I'm not so concerned about people's opinion about how I look or what I really have to say per se, because I'm coming in the name of the Lord. It's like any judgment or anything that somebody has to say is really a reflection about how they feel about God. If I'm really coming through God, that's what So like even with my voice and my singing and me wanting to have a household name and a worldwide platform is to really preach the gospel to people. and share my personal relationship with God. I don't really consider myself religious. I do go to church every Sunday. I do read my Bible. I really am into scripture, and I really do love on people. And I believe we shouldn't judge and we shouldn't talk about people. But my relationship with God is spiritual. I view God as a friend, as a father, as a helpmate, as a business partner. And that's what I'm interested in bringing to the world. And so when people are like, you got to have that look, and the PR person is saying this, it's like, no, when God says do, I'm going to do it. When God says sing, I'm going to sing it. And that's what I trust, more so than I would trust any human opinion about what I'm doing or what I have to say.
Well, and that's the way it should be, especially if you consider, a lot of people, and I'll use the term secular, a lot of people in the secular world feel the same way in certain points, in their life, even though they might not be, and you already said that you're not religious, you're more spiritual. A lot of secular people consider themselves spiritual as well, but they're giving what they call is the world's view of different scenarios in their music. They're not, talking about God or praising God in their music, but they're giving a message or something about life, their life story within their music and that type of thing, where it still touches people, but it's not the same when you're touching people and you're trying to reach them for God. So I think that's a hard challenge because I've been listening to Shirley Caesar for ever since I was like 19, and Shirley Caesar has been around for 60 years plus, seem like. And she used to sing with, I was going to say sang, because that's what she does. She sang. And so, she used to sing with James Cleveland when she was a teenager. And the thing is, and that catapulted her up, but it's been a slow climb for her popularity. And now she's in the ministry. Who is one of your people that you're following now that you would classify as your mentor?
Ooh. So that's hard because I look up to so many different people and pull on so many different aspects of people. Like, I don't have just one person. Like, my mom is my mentor. My pastor is my mentor. My grandma is my mentor.
Mm-hmm.
I'm willing to learn from anybody, really. I feel like everybody has a certain piece. But, like, I love Tasha Cobbs, but I also love Beyonce. Like, like I'm 19. Like, so I love Beyonce. I love Adele. I love Tasha Cobbs. I love Kirk Franklin. I'm well-rounded, especially when it comes to music. And I find myself nowadays getting more into jazz. Like, I want to, study the classics and, old school, per se. I guess that's from y'all generation.
Right.
That's what I'm talking about.
Right. Old school. That's
old
the
school. Old school. So like Etta James and Nina Simone and like even kind of newer but older. Still like Sade. What are you saying? Whoa, for?
You're reaching back there, Jazz.
Yeah, like one of my favorites really is Minnie Riperton. I love Minnie Riperton. Totally people that I look up to because I'm more about the music, also the ministry, and then again, I will say, like how you said, people say that they're spiritual and they don't really mention God. You don't always have to mention God in order to get people closer to God. Sometimes saying God and Jesus might be what puts people off. I've given people many a word. I'm just saying, I've given many a words and left God and Jesus out of it. And they're like, oh, yeah, I receive it. They'll receive it. But you put God in it, they're like, oh, I don't believe in a God and I don't really know. And, the cosmos and the stars and the universes, they do all that stuff. So sometimes you don't have to mention God and Jesus in music or in life at all, really. So my mentors is a lot. It's just a lot of people. Anybody that I'm inspired by.
Well, who would you say that you try, or do you try to emulate?
To what?
Emulate. Who do you try to emulate?
Who's the main person you want to look at?
So, I think I want to have Beyonce's success.
That's big.
on a gospel Tasha Cobbs platform.
Okay.
You know, I want to be not, but you know, like I always tell people, I don't want to be one thing. I don't want to be just seen as like a performer or a singer. I want to be an author. I want to be a philanthropist. I want to be seen as a mogul. I want to be on the cover of magazines. I want to be able to speak. You know, I want to be able to use and be a well-rounded. You know, like you think about Oprah Winfrey, she's well-rounded. You know, she stopped her Oprah Winfrey show and then got an Oprah Winfrey network. You know, they're like, oh, what is she going to do next? Like, it's going levels upon levels upon levels. And so I don't really want to emulate anybody. I want to be the best Jasmine I can be. I want to be the best version of myself. That's who I'm looking toward. I'm looking toward who am I going to be 10 years from now. That's who I want to emulate. I don't want to emulate Beyonce or Oprah Winfrey. I can aspire and I could want their success. I could want their work ethic. I could want their company. You know, I could have a vision. I could see that and aspire to that. But I want to be the best me that I can be. I don't want to be like anybody else.
Right, and God gives you that creativity to be yourself, because you know when He made the mold, He broke the mold.
Yeah.
There was no other mold but you. You know, when He made you, that's it. And I understand that. But however, success, and this is something that I've learned, and what you said was absolutely correct. As far as you working, it takes a lot of work. You have to be creative and all the things that you want to do and all of that. But what I've found out, what you have to do when you are young, you have to really copy somebody. Now, that's my opinion now. That's what I'm thinking. You know, I look at like who did Kobe Bryant copy and became a superstar? Michael Jordan. Who did some of the singers copy, you know, and they admire? You know, you look at Beyonce and you look at find out who she was copying and who she was trying to be like. When you try to be like that person,
Mm-hmm.
you what you're doing is, you know, lack of a better word, I'll say channel. You know, you sort of channeling that person's spirit. You're a spiritual person. You know, I'm sure you've heard people say certain things. You know, like I'm going to transfer my whatever to you. You know, and I don't want to get deep into that philosophy, but you know, people, you know, transfer this to you. But the point is that is a fact. You know, it's even in the Bible, you know, where God has transferred certain things to people. And what happens is when you transfer that same, okay, I'm going to say another word that I don't want to use, spiritual, you know, transfer, you're copying that person. And then what you're doing at the same time, what you said was absolutely correct. I want to be myself. I want to be Jasmine. But then Jasmine is going to come out once you've experienced all these other experiences. You know, you might do a little Minnie Riperton, you might do a little Shimon, you might do a little Sade, all of that kind of stuff. But at the same time, you're searching for Jasmine. And when are you going to find Jasmine? You don't know when that creativity is going to come out. Because by you being spiritual, being prayerful, studying the word and all that, that's when your creativity is going to come out and it's going to show. And then all of a sudden say, wow, there's nobody like Jasmine.
Mm-mm.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. We have a segment and stuff, Jasmine, on our podcast here where we talk about a lot of things. But one of the main things that we talk about is our spiritual aspect and stuff of what's going on and stuff in our lives. And no matter what we're doing, whether it's political, or whether it's going out there and being the biggest business leader that you can be, there still has to be something that brings you down to earth. And that's belief in the Lord. And we understand your point and stuff as far as doing that. And a lot of people and stuff, when they look at what you were saying, that's all, yes, you believe in this God, all this other stuff, but God has to be a part of your life. And as long as you have Him there, a part of your life, you are grounded. But you're also doing a lot of other things. You're singing, you're doing some things, because a lot of people might portray God and stuff where you're not supposed to be out there singing jazz or whatever and stuff, and
Secular
they
song,
call it,
secular.
yeah,
That's
it's a secular
religion.
song, and then you supposed to stay in religion, but that's not always true and stuff and everything. You can always bring all of those things all together and stuff, and those things become a part of who Jasmine stuff is. Jasmine is spiritual. Jasmine is a jazz person. Jasmine is a philanthropist, and all of that. Just like you put in your bio and stuff there, you can be all of those things and still be spiritual.
Yeah. And still love God and God still love you.
Absolutely.
I feel
Absolutely.
like we put a lot of rules on things. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of statues in the Bible. But I think people sometimes view God as such a one way,
Hmm.
but God created trees and then he created bushes. God created dogs, then he created cats. There's black people and there's white people. There's this color and then there's this color. There's so many different things. And I don't think we should try to put God in the box. He's like, your thoughts are not my thoughts and your ways are not my ways. And so I refuse to let my ways and my thoughts put God in such a box. Like I started putting myself in a box that, oh man, like if I had really, I feel like people believe that serving God is like such a chore and a job, and you got to be scared and trembling in your boots and things of that sort. And that's just not how I view it. And that's what I want to share with people, that a relationship with God can be healthy and happy, and it doesn't have to stop you from doing anything that you aspire to be. Really, I mean, unless you're like hurting somebody. I mean, yeah, y'all know what I mean. Like, don't
Yeah,
take it too far. People start
yeah,
going all radical. Like, you know exactly what I mean.
yeah.
Um, but that's just my belief in it, and that's what I meant. Like I love Beyonce and I love Oprah and I love Rihanna and I love Adele and I love all these musical artists, and it's like I understand that people would want to be them, and it's like there's certain things that I'll take from them to let inspire me. But what I'm really interested in is me enacting in my full purpose as Jasmine. That's all I want. I want what God has called me to do to be the very thing that I do in this earth realm. That's what I'm interested in.
Absolutely, and I think that's the best. That's the
Yeah.
best decision.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's part of our big connection, Ted.
Hmm. Hmm.
We have a thing that says big connection, and big means something. Believe in
Believe in
God.
God, and that's good. And you have the right thinking, and that's what it takes. The right thinking, and then it takes practice of all the things that you're pursuing. So I commend you on that. And you know, now one of the things that getting sort of kind of switching gears here, um, we've been always fighting for our rights. When I say we, I'm talking about Black people.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
here we
so
go.
People of
yeah,
color.
yeah. So the thing is, the sad part about it is, there's so many things that we have challenges, all kinds of things. But one of the things that we have a challenge on is voting. A lot of us don't register. A lot of us register but don't vote. A lot of us are not interested in realizing how serious this thing is. People have died for us to do this. So, what are your feelings? I mean, you're a young person, and you talk to a lot of, I'm sure, have conversations. What are your feelings about that?
Um, I feel like when I was growing up in school that they didn't really touch on voting a lot because we weren't of age at first of all. So really, like when it comes to the big votes, you have to be 18 in this country. I feel like that's something that should be noted. I think they taught us a little bit about how if you were black, and they showed us movies, and I remember there was a movie, Selma, Lord Selma, I think that's what the movie was called. And it was based on Dr. Martin Luther King and this young girl. And the women, they marched, the women and the black men and women marched into the courthouse to go vote. And the white man said, if you can guess how many gumballs are in this glass vase and you get the number correct, then you can vote. And my teacher was trying to say that's kind of how it was. Like you weren't allowed, you didn't have the right to, they wouldn't allow you to do these things. And I think growing up, I think I'm not big on blaming generations for things or like blaming, but I don't think we were really taught the importance of the Black voice, because for a long time there wasn't a Black voice. There wasn't an African American voice. Like our voices didn't matter to them per se. And now that we're in a generation where people will listen in our votes, I don't think us young people know how impactful our votes are. I mean, I remember I went out and voted. I didn't vote for Donald Trump. My friends didn't. My mama probably did, and he still got elected. And it's like, man, what am I voting for if my vote doesn't count in my mind or in their minds? Like, what am I voting for? And so I think, no, I'm serious. Like, that's real. That's real. I was hurt, y'all. I was hurt. I was like, my vote is going to matter.
Come
And
on, that's
blah,
just
blah,
like,
blah.
why am I playing this game when I know I'm gonna lose?
Like that's what it was feeling like. And so I know we have election and stuff, like even like for the mayor and like the Senate. Like I honestly, I know this is bad, but I don't think we have a full understanding of what voting truly is and what voting truly means. Given that the times that we did vote, stuff just didn't go right. And you're like, people have died and everything for us to have our opinions and stuff. But it's like, man, look, like, stop playing. Like, do they really matter for real? Like, because you start thinking about like the electoral college and all this other stuff and all these loops and stuff. This is why young people aren't so active in politics, because people won't stop lying. You're like, where can you get? No,
I don't know.
listen.
I am very shocked about what you were saying and stuff. It has shocked me, but I guess it is true and stuff as far as you are looking at things and stuff, is what you were saying, because we during our generation and stuff, we fought a lot, Jasmine, to get a right to vote. I mean, we were in a generation where you talked about as far as Selma was concerned, when they had the dogs and stuff out there attacking us and stuff, and they had the fire hoses and they had all this stuff. You had the Freedom Riser. You had people who were sitting at these counters and stuff in these restaurants or whatever, who wanted to do. They had that. We were doing that time where we had to ride on the back of the bus and everything. We couldn't sit in the front of the bus. It was a very, very horrible time. And you're right. A lot of times we have our votes and stuff. The wrong person is put into office or whatever, and oh man, he's in office. But you have to have a overall view and stuff of your vote. You did go out there and vote, and even though your candidate did not win, you voted, and that is the most important thing that you can look at as far as your generation is concerned. I exercise my right to vote, my opinion. Now, your opinion and stuff may not be what it is to get your candidate over the top, but you did go out there and vote. Because if you look at that last election that we are talking about, when 45 was put in office, he didn't win the popular vote.
He did not.
He did not win that popular vote. But it just so happened that there is a two-part thing as stuff as far as the presidential election comes. You have the popular vote, and then you also have the electoral college.
That's what I didn't understand.
Right.
Actually.
And
so after that happened, that's why I was like, whoa, like our vote, that's what I think that was what was wrong with our generation. I'm speaking from a generational standpoint.
Right.
Like
Absolutely.
we did not know the rules. We did not know the ins and outs of it. And I think I'm using the word ignorant as in the uneducated sense. I was ignorant to the subject of what voting really meant or what voting really is.
Absolutely. And that's something that each and every one of us, along with voting, have to realize that because you go out there and vote does not mean your candidate is going to always win. But the power and stuff of your vote and stuff, Jasmine, comes with the people who are going out there, because even though you are going out there and vote, you still have to follow up your vote and make sure that your representative, whomever they may be, are going to do things that you want them to do, because you become powerful and stuff in your vote. And there's a group you have a lot of power even after the election is over with and your candidate did not win, because if you don't follow that person up and ensure that they are doing the things that you want them to do and stuff as a block of voters and stuff, if you guys stay together, you become powerful even though your candidate does not win.
Yeah.
And there's a nuance to all of that. You have to realize that there's a lot of us voters and stuff. We voted our president in office and everything, the person that we wanted, but we don't follow that president up and make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. Like your mayor, your council person and stuff, all those people and stuff matter when it comes to voting. They are the ones and stuff who drive what we do. And if you don't sit there, even though you're going to vote on that one day, you still have to be out there and active and stuff in politics and stuff if you want to stay relevant, if you want to stay powerful.
Right. I think I should clarify that when I was saying that I think that my vote mattered, I don't think that me voting does not matter.
Okay.
I'm saying that as a young Black female, am I really being considered when I am voting? Not that my vote does not matter to me or to my people or to what I represent or to the president that I've chosen or when it comes to the mayor. It's like, is our votes, even though we got the right to vote, it's like even when slavery was abolished, they still find ways to do, like even with police brutality, yeah, we have rights, but are we really getting our full rights? That's what I mean. So when I'm saying, did my vote really matter? I'm saying it in the sense of, am I actually being treated like my vote is mattering? Just because you can vote doesn't mean that they're actually considering it. Just because you're supposed to have, I don't know, equal justice doesn't mean that you're actually getting equal justice. Just because there's, minimum wage, am I actually getting paid the minimum wage, or am I getting paid? So that's what I mean when I'm saying, does my vote really matter? When it came to the election, did my vote really matter? Did they consider it, or did they play some type of game? That's what I mean. Like, I don't know in what sense are we as minorities, are we actually being considered? And I think that's a valid point of view and a valid standpoint, given the history that we've had in America. Just because they passed the law doesn't mean that things change. Social construct is a very strong game, even when it comes to laws. Even when you talk about the gun law thing, the man that just shot up, the school in, Douglas, right? That was Douglas, right? 17 kids. And they're still not doing gun reform or passing gun laws to stop things like that. Trump's suggestion, or 45's suggestion, is that they give teachers handguns. Like, are we really being considered? Right. Are we?
Well, I guess, Jeff, and us and stuff, as far as the older generation and stuff, we've been through those things that you're talking about. And we kind of understand what you were saying. And I'm pretty sure that at some point in time, I felt the same way. My vote doesn't matter, because there was a period of time, Jasmine, that I did not go and vote. And I'll be honest about it. I did not vote because I didn't think my vote mattered. But as I went along and stuff, and I saw what was going on, I studied what was happening and stuff out there in the political arena. And when our Senator Obama and stuff and everything, when he started coming on board and everything, I said, hey, let me get back involved and stuff in this, because like I said, that there was a period of time where I didn't, but I got back involved and stuff in politics and stuff when he started running for the presidency. And I realized that we, like you said, we don't understand a lot of stuff about politics. We are very ignorant and stuff as far as it's concerned, but we have to get out there and still exercise our right to vote. We have to get people out there to vote, because the more people that you get out there to vote and everything, the better, the more you're going to be. So your one vote and stuff, it might not matter as far as that one vote, but if you put that one vote with 1,000 other votes and everything, then it starts mattering. The more people that you get who come in there and think like you do and vote like you do, the more powerful you become. That's just like the kids and stuff down there at that high school in Broward County and stuff, where all their friends and stuff got shot. Yes, they were, right now, they are frustrated and stuff in a way, because the state of Florida and stuff, did not give them the things that they really actually wanted. And then you have politicians like 45 who are saying, well, we're going to arm the teachers and stuff and everything. Is that the right solution? I don't think so. And most of the kids and stuff down there do not think so. But they are not giving up in that fight. And that's the main point that I was trying to bring to you and stuff, that even though you vote for that one time does not mean you stop fighting. You have to keep going out there, and you got to keep going out there and try to get your voice and stuff heard. And that's what they are doing. They are trying to get their voice heard. Come March the 20th, when they go into Washington, D.C., to have a big rally and stuff because of gun rights or whatever, they're continuing on and stuff in that fight because they did not win everything that they want to win there in Florida. So they say, hey, we're going to continue to this fight until we get what we want. And that's what we're hoping and stuff as older people and stuff here, that you guys continue that fight. Even though you were not down there in Florida when it happened, it affects you too, right there in Chicago, because just like you said, you got the police out there. They are constantly using their power and stuff to kill our children who are out in the street, and that's not right. But if you maybe follow those people and stuff down there, you might be able to change things and stuff there in Chicago, just like they're trying to change things down there in Florida.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's a new word out there now. I mean, I wouldn't call it a new word, but they say, stay woke. And to me, it just means that you stay informed, you stay engaged. And I think that a lot of the younger people like yourself are getting engaged. I'm talking about really engaged, running for office, following the issues. To me, that right there is the ultimate. Besides voting, all of those things needs to be done. If you know the issues and everything that's going on, everybody can't know every issue because there's so much stuff. But you can take 2 or 3, maybe 4 causes that helps you stay engaged, and then you stay woke, and then you start. A lot of people should be writing their congressmen. They should be being in contact with their mayors and, form a little group of people, that you're close to, that you have the same thoughts and what have you, and say, hey, we're gonna let's write a letter together, or let's do this together, or let's get this issue on the table, and try to figure out if we can do this, and then contact your local alderman and find out what's going on. When you engage like that, it takes a lot of time, and it's political. Politics is like forever. You always got to push up the people, So
and Jasmine, the one thing that made our generation and stuff so strong was everything good that came out of what we are doing came out of one place, and that was the church. When Martin Luther King got things done, he did his thing through the church. And being religious and your church and stuff and everything and your communities and stuff can make a change. You have churches and stuff there. Your pastor has a church sitting down the corner there in Chicago. Well, that little church there on that corner can make an effect within that community and stuff. And we have to start right there. And it seems like that's where most of our change come from. It comes from the church. And if the church does not stand up and everything because to get some things done, usually it's not going to get done. So your church and stuff, in a sense, it's just a very powerful entity right there in the community, because as what your church and stuff does, the people in the community are going to follow that along, because everybody believes in God. Most people do. And the majority of people do. The gangsters and stuff understand the power and stuff of God, and you just have to go out there and exercise that power. So anyway, we're about done here, Ted. We're about at the end of our show here. We've exceeded that hour here right now. So
well, I mean, one thing that's true, and one thing that I do want to do is, Jasmine, I'd like for you, anything that you want to say, or anything that you want, any kind of opinion, whatever's on your heart. What do you want to say?
Well, first, I was not expecting that. I listened very intently. What do I want to say, like, for the world to hear? I, hmm, I'm not really sure. I just feel like my generation, I feel like there's been a lot of judgment cast on us. I feel like there's some of us that are just kind of out there acting really crazy, not really paying attention, driving fast in cars and going to all the parties and not going to college. And there's the other half who are highly educated and going places. And then there's people in the middle, they don't know what they want to do. And I feel like I just want to inspire other young people to, be strong and be courageous and know it's okay not to know everything, but always try your best and put God first. Nobody's expecting you to be perfect. So if you have a spirit of perfection, I pray you can take it off of yourself and allow yourself to be a human being. And let's just try not to be so sensitive. I feel like, especially with social media, we do get very sensitive. Somebody could say something and people are just falling out, like just, completely losing their mind over somebody's opinion. You are entitled to your opinion. You are entitled to your opinion. I feel like a lot of times when we have problems with people, it's just the way that they say things. So it's like, hey, I don't like Donald Trump. And if you like Donald Trump, that's you. But don't yell at me and call me names because I don't like Donald Trump. That's the problem. Like, it's okay to have an opinion, but the way that you go about having an opinion is what's important. And I feel like that's something our generation can learn. Like when I talk about the plastic water bottles, start in your community and don't come for mine. It's just there's a certain way and a certain procedure in the way that things should be done. And so I think that's just my overall opinion on life. I don't know everything. And I'm trying to learn more and more every day, and I'm trying to improve as a person. And I feel like that's okay when it comes to education, when it comes to life, and when it comes to relationships, especially the one with myself. I love myself, and I want to help others love themselves through anything that I can do.
Super. Well, with that, we appreciate your time, Jasmine, and you taking the courage to come on. And we look forward to hearing from you and somewhere, in YouTube, maybe that, or your first album, or however, we can hear you. And we wish you the best for sure, and I'm sure you'll be in Mr. Bishop's prayers. You definitely be in mine now that I know you.
Yeah.
So you just keep on keeping on, and thank you very much for all your time and your wisdom.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And we're so blessed to have you, Jasmine, and we're so blessed now to even have your opinion and stuff on our show. That's why I reached out to you and asked you to come on, because I value your opinion just like you value mine. And you're very loved and stuff by the people around you. And I know that if you continue to go along in the same path you're going on now and what you're talking about here on the show, you are going to be successful. Okay?
Thank you. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed this.
Okay.
So much.
All right.
Bye-bye, Jasmine.
Bye.